Yes, Mr. Akonam, I can see you clearly. Your camera is fine. The framing of your shot is very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Maybe in 5 minutes, maybe we will start. We have a number of people online and we're still expecting more, but we're not going to wait for too long. We'll start in a couple of minutes. Thank you. The country representative of Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, the country representative of the World Health Organization, the country director of the UN Information Center, UNIC in Nigeria, directors of ministries, departments, and agencies of the government, colleagues from the United Nations system, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, everyone on this loop from Nigeria. Good morning, good evening to others who have connected from other time zones of the world. And welcome to the 2021 World Food Safety Day Observance in Nigeria. My name is Oluseyi Shoremekun, and I am the moderator of this event. This event is organized jointly by FAO and WHO in collaboration with the Office of the United Nations Resident Coordinator through the UN Information Center, UNIC, in Lagos. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I acknowledge the very distinguished dignitaries who are at this time. Maybe before I go further, may I request everyone to mute the microphone. Please mute your microphone and do not put it on until you are told to do so, perhaps at the panel discussion stage. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to acknowledge the presence of dignitaries and invited guests, the panelists for this great day, the observance of the World Food Safety Day in Nigeria. You know, the day is celebrated on the 7th of June, but today is 10th. But just to emphasize that, it's celebrated every year on the 7th of June to draw attention and inspire action to help prevent, detect, and manage foodborne risk, contributing to food security, human health, economic prosperity, agriculture, market access, tourism, and sustainable development. In the House today, dignitaries such as Mr. Fred Cafero. Mr. Cafero is the representative of Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. We also have the pleasure of distinguished presence of Dr. Walter Kazide Mulombo, and Dr. Mulombo is the WHO representative in Nigeria. It's also my pleasure and singular honor to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Ronald Kayanja. Mr. Kayanja is the director of UNIC in Nigeria. UNIC is the UN Information Center. It is my pleasure to also acknowledge Dr. Razak Oyeleke, who is an assistant director, Federal Department of Agriculture, Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. We have the honor to have Mr. Sherif Olagunju, the Director of Food Safety and Applied Nutrition at the National Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC. It is my pleasure to also acknowledge Mr. Jude Akonam, who is an Assistant Director, Quality Assurance and Development at the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We're also expecting to join us very soon, very shortly, Architect Kabir Ibrahim, the National President, All Farmers Association of Nigeria, AFAN. We also have in our midst today the National Coordinator, National Joint Food Safety Committee, Mr. Atonda John. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure once again to welcome you to the 2021 World Food Safety Day. Perhaps you are wondering, why do we have FAO and WHO coming together to talk about the World Food Safety Day? Yes, I want to say that keeping food safe is a complex process that starts on the farm and ends with the consumer. And in the food system, we say from the farm to the table and everything in between. All stages of the food chain, from production, harvest, and storage to preparation and consumption, must be considered. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, is the only international organization overseeing food safety along all aspects of the food chain. Through a long-standing partnership, FAO and the World Health Organization support global food safety and protect consumers' health. FAO addresses food safety issues along the food chain during production and processing, while WHO typically oversees relationships with the public health sector. Safeguarding food so that it is safe to eat doesn't stop with its purchase though. And at home, we all must understand that we have a part to play in the making sure that what we eat remains safe. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the World Food Safety Day Observance in Nigeria. I will be going, our program today is into two parts. We have short remarks just from two key organizers, the WHO and the FAO. And afterwards, we go into the panel discussion, and our panelists are already in the house. On this note, I want to yield the floor to a man who is the custodian of food and agriculture in the United Nations. He is a national of Uganda and the FAO representative in Nigeria and to the ECOWAS. He is a development professional with technical expertise in sustainable natural resource management, food security, and nutrition spanning over 30 years. And at global level, as well as in his native country, he has led the process of food and agriculture organization, especially as related to food security and nutrition. Before coming to Nigeria, he was the FAO representative in Tanzania, where he served for 4 years. And prior to that, he served for 8 years at the FAO headquarters in Rome as a forestry officer. He holds an MSc in Environment and Natural Resource Management and a BSc in Geography, Botany, and Zoology from Makerere University, the prestigious Makerere University, Kampala, Uganda. And I'm talking about Mr. Fred Kafero. Mr. Fred Kafero, I yield the floor to you to give a remark. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, moderator, for your kind introduction. And let me also recognize all the distinguished panelists that we have today. I also recognize my colleagues in the UN country team, participants out there who are not on the panel, but are out there listening to us, and also the media. We are here because the United Nations General Assembly recognizing the global burden of foodborne diseases that affect individuals of all ages, particularly children under 5 years, proclaimed that every year on the 7th of June should be the World Food Safety Day. And we have been commemorating that day every year. Food safety, as the moderator has said, plays an important role in improving food and nutrition security, as indeed foodborne diseases exacerbate nutrient deficiencies, and foodborne parasitic infections have huge social and economic costs. Food safety, therefore, is a fundamental prerequisite, especially if we are talking about issues of food security and nutrition, but also market access. FAO and WHO, both of us are technical agencies, have led the celebrations to mark the day across the globe every year. I wanted to share a little bit about our landscape, which, as we all know, is changing. We witness and continue to observe what we call mega trends in this country, including rising population growth and rapid urbanization. The people's lifestyles and dietary changes as their incomes improve. There is increased global and regional trade, which demands observance of strict standards. The climate change impacts that require more urgent need for conserving our natural resources. But of course, also the advancement in science and technology. These are all trends that we need to keep in mind and continue observing. They come with new challenges, but they also bring new opportunities for addressing the long-standing problems that we have. We in the food and agriculture sector see the food chain is still exposed to various uses of chemical inputs, some of them hazardous. This is a concern, especially if we are talking about smallholder farmers and consumers. Aflatoxin contamination in this country is well known, especially on the farm, but also at post-harvest stages. It's a big challenge for our predominantly grain-based diets. Besides its negative effects on the people's health, it also negatively impacts on the country's ability to engage in international trade. So the theme for 2021 World Food Safety Day is very important. Safe food today for a healthier tomorrow. It stresses that production and consumption of safe food has immediate and long-term benefits for people, for the planet, but also for the economy. So recognizing the systemic connections between the health of people, animals, plants, the environment, and the economy will therefore help us to meet the needs of the future. While ensuring food safety is the ultimate responsibility of the national authorities, we should view it as a shared responsibility between governments, between producers and consumers, and every one of us. All of us have a role to play from farm to table to ensure the food we consume is safe and is healthy for a better tomorrow. Effective food safety and quality control systems are key, not only to safeguarding the health and well-being of the people, but also to fostering economic development and improving livelihoods, because we're talking about issues of markets. So I want to share with you a little bit about our work as FAO at global, but also what we are doing here in Nigeria, briefly. As I said earlier on, we are working together with WHO in promoting the food safety agenda and its importance to countries and their people. We, as FAO, we host the Secretariat of the Joint FAO-WHO Codex Alimentarius Commission. This commission plays the leading role in setting international food standards to protect the health of consumers and in ensuring fair practices in the food trade across the globe. It also provides scientific advice that underpins all these codex standards that we talk about. In Nigeria here, FAO provides technical assistance to the government, particularly in strengthening food safety systems, regulatory frameworks for food control, and to promote and encourage compliance with good practices. In this regard, FAO has been providing for some time now technical and financial support in the drafting of the National Food Safety and Quality Bill. This is currently at the National Assembly, and hopefully it will be passed into law during this year. We also play a role in strengthening capacities, including providing space for national experts to engage in global processes, global discussions that influence food control. Over time, we have strengthened the capacities of food safety stakeholders in both federal and state governments, including the National Food Safety Management Committees in different levels. We work a lot in the fisheries sector, as you know, and in this subsector, we have collaborated with research and other partners to promote adherence to food safety requirements. We have introduced simple drying and processing and storage facilities in local communities, especially for smallholder fisher people, so that they can ensure the quality of their fish. Likewise, in the promotion of efficient household grain storage technologies. As I mentioned, there are lots of challenges of food safety that arise after harvest. As I conclude, I wish to reiterate that with the enabling legal and policy frameworks on the one hand, and the strong institutional and competent personnel who can enforce the implementation on the other hand, we believe that Nigeria will make great steps in ensuring food safety for all in the country. All stakeholders and partners should play their role. This is not only the role of government, but it's for all of us. And we should raise more awareness about food safety and its importance to the general health and to the economy of the country. Everyone has the right to safe, nutritious, and sufficient food. The World Food Safety Day is an opportunity to strengthen our efforts to ensure that the food we eat is safe from production level to the fork. Everybody along the food chain is responsible for food safety, and it's time for us to act now for a better tomorrow. I want to thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Kafiro, the FAO representative to Nigeria and the ECOWAS, for that clear yet deep insight into the World Food Safety Day, especially the theme for this year. Thank you very much, sir. No doubt, the World Food Safety Day observance this year and every year it is germane to the well-being of the people and critical to the survival of mankind, as we cannot do without food and cannot survive without safe food on our tables. Thank you very much, sir. We move to the next brief remark, and I will be calling on someone who is the arrowhead of public health issues in the UN system in Nigeria. He is a long-standing and well-respected WHO international expert. He's a public health epidemiologist from the Democratic Republic of the Congo with over 30 years of progressive experience in clinical practice, management of primary health care, health policy dialogue, governance, and coordination, as well as implementation. He held senior international positions in both English and French-speaking countries, including Burundi, Papua New Guinea, among others. He holds a master's degree in public health from the London School of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene. He carries with him expertise in the management of primary health care, an important attribute in the Nigerian context, with PHC as the bedrock of the National Health Policy and National Strategic Health Development Plan 2 in support of universal health coverage and health-related SDGs. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my singular honor and privilege to yield the floor to Dr. Walter Kazadi Mulombo, the WHO country representative to Nigeria and the ECOWAS. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Olusei, and all the organizers. Thank you to my brother and colleague, Fred, the country representative for FAO. Thank you for all my other UN colleagues who are on this call. I also want to acknowledge the directors from the government who are participating, as well as partners and the members of the media and other invitees on this special session. I came across the theme of the webinar that will follow, and the question that I saw was quite appealing. How safe is food in Nigeria? I hope our panelists will be will find time to discuss this topic, this theme, in every angle. But for now, what I want to say, first of all, is thank you. Thank you for having WHO with you on this occasion and for facilitating this important meeting, which may go a long way to strengthen the UN support to Nigeria toward ensuring access to safe, sufficient, and nutritious food. As we all know, safe food assures improved nutrition, promotes health and vitality for all our families and communities. Hence, there is a need to work together with the government and help Nigeria and Africa overall to change the statistics. As you know, globally, an estimated of 600 million, almost 1 in 10 people in the world fall ill after eating contaminated food, and 420,000 die every year, almost 500,000 just after consuming contaminated food. Consequently, in 2018, the United Nations General Assembly adopted the resolution 73/250, proclaiming 7th of June as World Food Safety Day, taking into account the global burden of the foodborne diseases which affect individuals of all age, in particular children under 5 and persons living in low-income regions. The resolution acknowledges that there is no food security without food safety. And that in a world where the food supply chain has become more complex, any adverse food safety incident may have a global negative effect on public health, trade, and economy. The theme for this year, Safe Food Today for a Healthy Tomorrow, emphasizes that production and consumption of safe food has immediate and long-term benefit for people, the planet, and the economy. Recognizing the system, one health connection between the health of people, animals, plants, the environment, and in relation to the economy will help us meet the needs of the future. On Monday, on 7th of June, Nigeria joined the rest of the world to commemorate the World Food Safety Day through visible support of FAO and WHO alongside other agencies. The event highlighted several facts and gaps, which I hope you'll be discussing during the webinar when you come to analyze the theme, how safe is food in Nigeria. Therefore, moving forward in supporting Nigeria, it's expedient to take cognizance of the need to, one, revive institutional systems for a functional food safety inspection and enforcement. Two, to pursue aggressive food safety awareness raising from farm to table. Three, to conduct a One Health epidemiological surveillance of foodborne diseases and develop science-based national food safety national data. And four, and last, strengthen response to food safety related issues such as hygiene, antimicrobial resistance, zoonotic diseases, climate change, food fraud, highlighted by the COVID-19 pandemic. It's with these last 4 points that I would like to wish you fruitful deliberation through this important webinar. Thank you so much. Over.
Thank you very much, sir, for that insightful presentation. But what you have said and what Mr. Kafiro has presented have both set the ground for a very dynamic, very robust discussion today. And that will conclude the brief remarks before we go into the panel discussion. But before we go into panel discussion, there are two things we are going to do. The first is we're going to have a group photograph. Don't worry, it will be a virtual group photograph. Then we will have a short video. May I request the pleasure of everyone online to switch on your camera. Make sure you're looking good, you are sitting well. Then we'll take a group photograph. Then afterwards, the IT will key in the video, short video, 1 or 2 minutes, then before we go into the panel discussion. So please put on your video if you are in a good environment so that we can have a group photograph. Okay. Yes, everybody's looking good. I think that is fine. Thank you very much. Thank you for this great and handsome, but the only thing I can't find a woman. If there is a woman in the house, please just activate your video. I can't find a woman on the screen, what I'm looking at this end. Okay. Well, we will make do with what we have got. Maybe before we end the program, women will also put on the the video. The video. Thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. May I call on the IT team to cue in the video at this time. Over to you, the IT.
Every year, we celebrate World Food Safety Day on the 7th of June, raising awareness that safe, healthy, and nutritious food is everyone's right. Our latest data show that 600 million people around the world still get sick every year from eating contaminated food. Children under 5 are the hardest hit. When food is not safe, children don't get enough nutrients that can harm growth and development. Foodborne diseases are also a major contributor to children missing school and adults missing work. Earning potential goes down. Safe food is needed today for a healthy tomorrow. The good news is that most foodborne disease is preventable. On these days, everyone should know that all of us have a role in keeping food safe. Whether you produce, process, sell, prepare, or share food with friends or family, you can take concrete actions to keep food safe. I'm sharing with you 5 calls to action to get involved and do your part. Safe food contributes to a healthy life, a healthy planet, and a healthy future. See you on the 7th of June, when there will be many activities to celebrate the World Food Safety Day. Remember, food safety is everyone's business. It's your business.
Yeah, that is great. Food safety is everyone's business. It's my business, it's your business, it's everyone's business. That's awesome. Thank you very much for that video. Now we go into the panel discussion. Our panelists, they are the Assistant Director, Federal Department of Agriculture, Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Rasak Oyeleke. You may switch on your video, but still leave your mic muted. The second panelist is the Director of Food Safety and Applied Nutrition at the National Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC. And I'm talking about Mr. Sheriff Olagunju. Thank you very much, sir, for honoring us with your presence. I also have an Assistant Director, Quality Assurance and Development at the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, Mr. Jude Akonam. Mr. Jude Akonam, welcome to the panel.
Thank you very much.
I have the National Coordinator, National Joint Food Safety Committee, Mr. Atonda John. Welcome to the platform. Is Architect Kabir Ibrahim, the National President of All Farmers Association of Nigeria, in the house yet? I understand he's calling in late. Is he in the house? So we have 4 panelists here seated. The theme for this webinar for the observance of the World Food Safety Day in Nigeria is how safe is food in Nigeria, from growing to production, transportation, sales to consumption. How safe is food in Nigeria? This is the theme. And as the WHO representative said, the expectation is that these great panelists will do justice to this question. And maybe for the purpose of all the panelists and the people online, did you know unsafe food containing harmful bacteria, viruses, parasites, or chemical substances causes more than 200 diseases? Did you know recent estimates indicate that the impact of unsafe food costs low and medium income economies around 95 billion US dollars in lost productivity each year? Did you know that good hygiene practices in the food and agricultural sectors help to reduce the emergence and spread of foodborne diseases? These are some of the issues that we'll look at. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my first salvo, we go to, and then of course, we have yes, we may have one or two contributions from our technical colleagues from WHO and the FAO. Maybe at certain point, if they have contributions to make, and I'm talking about Dr. Kalias Miyaboza, Medical Officer, World Health Organization, as well as Dr. Abubakar Sulaiman, Assistant Representative, FAO. So they are also on standby to make interventions at the appropriate time. On this note, may I go straight to NAFDAC first? The state of food safety in Nigeria. What are the measures? Oh, yes. That's Mr. Olagunju. I'm going to you now. The state of food safety in Nigeria. What are the measures you've been taking on how to address the safety issues around foods and yes, foods in Nigeria? What are the measures you've been taking? How are you addressing this? How are you ensuring Nigerians have access to safe food on their table? Over to you, Mr. Lagunju.
Thank you very much, moderator. And I want to say good afternoon and good morning or good evening to everyone, wherever you are. And I want to align with the protocols already established, and then to specially recognize the presence of the press because they are very important, you know, in whatever we do, and when it comes to food safety. And since we say food safety is everyone's business, the press is the one that will take this message across to every corner, you know, everywhere, that everybody has to be involved, you know, in food safety. Well, first and foremost, you know, NAFDAC has, you know, the responsibility of ensuring that food produced, manufactured, produced, processed in Nigeria meets the required standard, whether it is imported, whether it is exported, whether it is manufactured, sold, or advertised. The responsibility of the agency is to ensure that they meet the highest standards of food safety reasonably achievable. And in doing this, we have a number of guidelines, you know, that are out there that we give out to, you know, people who are involved in the food business sector, all FBOs who are related or have any function to play in food. And this includes farmers, off-takers, you know, people who go to buy goods from the farm in bulk. You know, we have transporters, we have storage, people who keep food in storage facilities, you know, and then we have people who also retail and sell food. There are a number of concerns, you know, that are associated with all these people. And in carrying out our functions, we carry out a lot of enlightenment programs, and then followed up with inspections. And that is actually the regulatory function that we carry out. For locally produced food, whether it is processed or, you know, packaged or whatever it is, we have different guidelines or different types of inspections that are carried out. Good manufacturing practice for people who produce, good hygiene practice, good storage practice, good distribution practice. Then we also try, although this doesn't fall within our purview, we also try to confirm that requirements of good agricultural practice, GAP, are also fulfilled by certain group of people. For instance, a company or somebody who is producing maybe fruit juices and is extracting, maybe getting pineapples from a farm in, maybe in Edo State or somewhere. We want to be sure, we want to see evidence that good agricultural practice is, observed, in those places. So these are some of the things that are done. In addition to this, we also support these activities with laboratory testing by ensuring that we test, a lot of the products, that are being processed and ensure that they are safe before they are released for consumption. Now,
okay.
one very important,
all right.
One very important function, that we also do is the registration of processed foods. And that is a really very complex process where we go into full details, of a particular product, analyzing the ingredients, checking the safety of every single ingredient in the food, the additives, whatever is being used, to make sure that they are properly processed, to make sure that things that are not supposed to be there are not there, to make sure that things that are, or ingredients or additives that are banned are not there. Then we also ensure that consumers are not deceived by ensuring that the food products are properly labeled and presented in such a way that the consumer can see that this is what I'm consuming. For instance, somebody who is allergic to nuts should know that any food that is being consumed contains nut or has the probability of containing nuts because it has been processed in the same facility that had already processed or that also processes nuts. So these are some of the things that we do. Now,
yes, thank you very much, sir. I will come back to you, Mr. Olagunju. I will come back to you. You have raised a very important point, and that has to do with good agricultural practices. And it's on that note, I want to go to the director, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Asako Yeleke. What are the food safety issues in agriculture? Doc, over to you.
Good afternoon.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Please go ahead, sir.
Shay, thank you for having me. Once again, I'm Dr. Ilike Abdurazak. I'm the Deputy Director in charge of Nutrition and Food Safety Division of the Federal Department of Agriculture. My warm greetings to the country rep, FAO, and WHO, and all members of this webinar meeting. On behalf of the very, very large family of FMAD, the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Alhaji Sabu Nanunu, my Director and the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, I join all Nigerians in the celebration of this year's World Food Safety Day celebration. And in Nigeria, we know the theme is very big. How safe is food we consume in Nigeria? Before I go, I want to appreciate the effort of the organizers of this celebration. The FAO and WHO being our long-term development partner in Nigeria, giving us technical support at all fronts. Thank you and kudos to you. Then to the question posed by the moderator, I want to say that FMAD is cognizant of many risk factors but I will limit myself to just 4 key risk factors when it comes to food safety in Nigeria. Number 1 is aflatoxin and heavy metal presence in our staples. Aflatoxin in many commodities, but most especially the grains, maize, and cowpea in Nigeria. That's a very big risk factor we are contending with when it comes to food safety in FMAT. We are also cognizant of the fact that our food are being contaminated by chemicals, chemical contamination, and the country could not meet minimum residual level when it comes to chemical residues in our food staples. The third one is very big and a very serious one, and that is food fraud. Food fraud in terms of faking the food and adulteration. And very close to that one is bad processing, whereby another methods in post-harvest handling of cowpea, for instance. Last but not the least of the 4 key risk factors I want to mention is fruit and vegetable reservation. The major source of contamination of our food in Nigeria. So these 4 risk factors are the back of all the policies and programs we reel out to make sure that our food are safe. And we know the effect of these ones, ranging from non-communicable diseases, cancer, and even stunting in children. Aflatoxin is being implicated as a cause of stunting in children in Nigeria and Africa at large. And another big side effect of food safety is our negative impact on trade, our weak competitiveness, either in local or international trade. We are not competitive because of some risk factor in our food. So I will quickly run through what are the factors FMA put in place to make sure that by and large, our foods are safe. Number 1, moderator, is the promotion in terms of policy, promotion of the use of organic pesticide and organic growth enhancer fertilizer. So as a matter of policy, in the next few years, the use of inorganic fertilizer may not be popular among our farmers in Nigeria, because we know inorganic fertilizers leave effects that are carcinogenic in our food. 2, we want to make sure that our food staples are free of aflatoxin. And by so doing, we are collaborating with our development partners and private sector in form of IITA to promote the technology of the use of aflasafe while we grow the food on the field. By the use of aflasafe, we are sure that very large percentage of our food crops at the farm gate will be free of aflatoxin. And as closely mentioned by the rep from NAFDAC, our watchword is global good agricultural practices. By that one, I mean that within our producers, what they should do to be able to minimize contamination. We have extension agents on ground doing their job to make sure that we start from soil testing on and on to make sure that we do good agricultural practices to make the food safe. And in addition,
okay,
and
Dr.
so key,
Oyoleke,
let me
I will
mention this
come back
point.
to you.
You
Okay.
don't want me to mention this? This is another big one we do. We give
Okay,
nutrition
just mention
education.
it, then I will come back to you so that.
Okay, thank you, Sheyi. Thank you, Sheyi.
Yes, go ahead. Mention it. Mention
Yes,
it, sir.
Yes, we are doing nutrition education because through nutrition education,
Okay.
the consumer will be aware of what they consume. We raise awareness. They know the importance of maintaining the nutrients, vital nutrients in their food, and they are conscious. If they are conscious, they be aware of the kind of food they eat and how safe the food is. Thank you, Seyi.
Thank you very much, Dr. Oyoleke. Yes, I definitely like the bit about nutrition education to consumers. Do you have the same educational engagement with the farmers, since you have identified some of this problem coming from the farm? But you will answer that maybe much later. I want to go to the AFAN president, who will talk about education to farmers. You have identified some of the problems we have around the food safety, heavy metals, chemical contamination, not meeting the minimum residual level, and so on, food fraud. But how much of this do farmers know about? Are they educated enough in taking care of food safety issues, even at the production level? AFAN President, Mr. Architect Kabir Ibrahim, over to you, sir. Architect Ibrahim, I saw you a while ago online. Are you still on call? Okay, Dr. Oyoleke, you mentioned engaging the consumers to educate them. Did the ministry have any intervention directed at farmers on this issue?
Yes, we do that one through our good agricultural practices that I mentioned. Global Gap is a form of training and capacity building of our farmers. We give them the education hands-on on the field, what they should do. We start by letting them test the soil to make sure that the kind of soil they want to use is not contaminated, it's not full of heavy metal. The farmers know this one. We give them the information on the need to use good water for their irrigation. Farmers know this one. We give them the education of the difference between inorganic and organic pesticides and growth enhancer. Our farmers know this one.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And we not only give them the education, we back up the education with support of inputs. We give them inputs to practicalize all the training we are giving them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, I want to loop in our protection expert in the house. That's Mr. Judah Conan. You've spoken about educating the consumers, talking about educating the farmers, but I want to go to the consumer protection expert in the house. How much protection do your agency provide for consumers when it comes to food safety? Over to you, Mr. Akona.
Thank you, Mr. Sheyi. Thank you, Sheyi. And I also welcome all participants. I will, first of all, apologize for non-appearance of my EVC, Executive Vice Chairman. Actually, he was supposed to be in this program, but before the message came a bit late, he was engaged in another program, and that's where he is right now. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission happens to be the foremost competition and consumer protection authority in Nigeria. Formerly, we are called Consumer Protection Council. But now we have been upgraded to be a commission because we part of the job of Security and Exchange Commission was given to us, which is merger and acquisition. So we make sure that business is also taken care of in our responsibility. And this particular stage we are in now was that it was in 2018 that we are made a commission. And our responsibility, among other things, includes to develop and promote fair and efficient and competitive markets in the Nigerian economy, facilitate access by all citizens to safe products and secure the protection of rights to all consumers in Nigeria. Actually, our job mainly is to protect consumers based on laws that are already, or standards that are already set by SON. We implement it more or less. Part of that implementation, because we also, because anytime they are doing they are formulating standards, as stakeholders, we are always there to make sure that we put our own input, make our own input. Now, towards efforts on protection of consumers with relation to food safety, we have a lot of programs that are lined up for within engaging consumers in many aspects. Like through my department, which is Quality Assurance and Development, we normally carry out routine inspection of eateries and abattoirs, markets, and bakeries to ascertain the level of hygiene in those food outlets. We also organize training for street food vendors on how best to carry on their trade to safeguard the health of Nigerian consumers. Regularly, we carry out checks on fast food joints to make sure that they maintain good sanitary measures. All these aspects include sensitization to farmers across the country on safe application of pesticides during farming seasons. That, most of the time when you apply pesticides wrongly, you have a challenge. Either at the end of the day, you may have pesticide residue remaining in food, and when consumers eat them, it becomes another challenge. It becomes a hazard. We also create awareness to Nigerian consumers on need to report any food outlet that tend to constitute health hazard to the consuming public. And this is where Nigerians normally have challenge. We hardly report cases. And part of the responsibility of consumers, though we have 8 rights for consumers, they have 7 responsibilities. One of the responsibilities that they have to report or complain. But if we don't complain of a challenge, it will be difficult for us to know how to assist you or help you. On a regular basis, through the Department of Surveillance and Enforcement, the Commission listens and effects compensation to Nigerian consumers who seek redress from food vendors and other food outlets that infringes on consumers' right to safety, which is one of the 8 consumer rights. There's a right of consumer, out of the 8 rights of a consumer, one of them is right to safety. A consumer has a right to safety food. If anybody infringes on that particular right, he has a responsibility to complain to us, and we'll make sure that whatever challenge that the person has through that means, we make sure we take care of it, either through competition or otherwise. Also,
sorry, Mr. Akna.
Yes.
I don't want this to slip away. You've mentioned the fact that Nigerians hardly file complaints about food safety issue. And I want you to, because this is an opportunity to have you on this call. What are the steps that an average Nigerian can take if they suspect they are victims of either food fraud or faking or any safety issues around the food they've consumed? What are the steps they can take to access protection from your agency?
Thank you very much. We have many channels towards that. You can use our telephone. We have hotlines. If there's time, I will mention the numbers for our hotlines. And you can also make complaints physically by visiting our offices. We have around 6 zonal offices and two state offices in Lagos and Abuja, in Lagos and Kano. We also, though they have banned Twitter, we also have Twitter handle where people can make complaints. We have Facebook access, and I may have to be given chance later to be able to call out all these numbers. And the process is just quite simple. Just come, even if you cannot read or write, an officer can help you to make the complaint that you want to make. And anything that's supposed to be yours in terms of damages that you incur, there is room for compensation in our act.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Akuna, because your responsibility in the Nigerian space is very, very important, because the experts have identified various challenges, and all these have health implications, and you are responsible for protecting the consumers like myself and others online. So our trust is in you, is in your organization, the FCCPC. Before we
and I can equally tell you that nobody has passed through our system and regretted it and said we didn't meet up with any challenge.
That is good to hear. That is good to hear.
Our people normally don't complain. If somebody had a challenge of only 1,000 naira, it would not say it's a common 1,000. But when you multiply that 1,000 to 1 million people, you know that it's a huge money. And by resolving your case, every other case will be taken care of in the process.
True. Very true. Very true. Maybe at the back end, you can drop the number and your website, your social media access in the chat box, so that we can harvest it and people can have benefit of getting in touch with you should they have challenges of food safety. Thank you very much. And on this note, I also want to bring in a very important group, organization, a committee, so to speak, the National Joint Food Safety Committee. And Mr. Atanda John is here representing that very important committee looking at food safety in the country. Mr. Atanda John, I yield the floor to you. Over. So, hello, Mr. Atanda John. Okay. Though what he's supposed to speak about what is being done now, and what is being done now is that is just the Food Safety Committee joint. So, and I believe is an interagency or yes, interagency committee on food safety. So, I will go back to the to our NAFDAC representative, Mr. Sheriff Olagunju. We know NAFDAC, of course, is responsible for regulating safety of foods. What are the regulatory challenges you are facing, and how are you surmounting these regulatory challenges? Mr. Olagunju, in 1 minute.
Thank you. The challenges are quite, huge. One of the major challenges is personnel. We have about 200 million people in the country, and NAFDAC is just a couple of thousands, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 staff to do a lot of things. And the 2,000 staff, that includes the admin people who are not regulatory, so not scientists, so they don't play those roles. Now, the other challenge, which is also very significant, is availability of resources, in terms of equipment. We have so much to do, okay, and we could do with a lot more equipment and laboratory space to be able to carry out our functions. For instance, recently, a couple of years ago, we did a total diet study of the country to look at what the diet is like. This is the theme of this discourse. How safe is our food in Nigeria? Yeah, we did a test. FAO was part of that project, and we looked at the diet across, the various parts of the country, looking at salt, rice, and vegetable oil, and all those things. And from the findings, we realized, there's quite a lot that we still need to do, to be sure that our food is safe. We also have issues with some rice, from the Middle Belt area. From our regular testing, we're able to see that we're beginning to find some arsenic, the level going higher, and even some lead, in some rice. So we have, we need to do a lot more, to be able to continue to collect data, and that is more total diet studies and checking on food that we eat and all that. So these are the issues. Then the most major one is the lack of education. That is why I said the press that are here are the most important, in this gathering today. We need to get our people informed. There's a lot of I want to use illiteracy out there. People don't know what the consequences of their actions. They don't know the consequences of certain things they do. Then people use azo dyes to make palm oil look very attractive, to enhance the color, Then you heard of what happened in Kano. People are not aware that you don't need to add anything to, you need to know what you're adding to whatever products you're mixing. So these are the challenges. Education is a major problem, and we need to really communicate. And the colleague from the Federal Ministry of Agriculture actually said something which is very important: education, enlightenment of our farmers, off-takers, transporters, and all those and all that. So those are the major issues that that are confronting.
Thank you very much.
Regulation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Dr. Abdulrazak Oyeleke of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. There is an issue which has just been raised by one of the participants online, Abdurrahman Tukur, that let's talk about the food safety. You've spoken extensively about the crop farming, the issues, and contaminants in the soil and all that. What about as related to animal farming and fishing, and fish farming rather?
Thank you, Dr. Seyi. We are conscious of the fact that as we are talking of safety of food to human consumption, we should be talking of safety of the feed to the animals. So it is at that point we are conscious of the fact that we should not allow aflatoxin to be present in the concentrate we feed our animals and our fish either in the aquaculture or in the catfish in the ocean. So we are conscious of both what we eat as human and what we give to our animal. And we know if the food is aflatoxin tainted, the productivity in animal will drop considerably, and the milk also will be contaminated. The milk we harvest from the animal will be contaminated, and that goes into what a human being will feed on. So it is what we give to the animal you get from them. So we are conscious of the fact that we are making the feed to the fish and cattle safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Participants online, you can drop your questions in the chat box. We will pick it up, and then our very knowledgeable panelists will address those questions. Still with you, Dr. Oyeleke. You spoke about one of the steps the ministry is taking to address these issues of safety, food safety. And one of the steps you talked about is the transition to the use of organic insecticides and fertilizers. How, when a government agency says, okay, very soon, how soon are we going to complete this transition, this so much desired transition from the use of organic, to the use of organic fertilizers and insecticide? How are we on course? How soon are we going to get there?
Thank you, Seyi. We are on course, but it is easier said than done. And we agree with you. What we are doing is systematic. When we train our farmers, I told you that we give them input. Take, for instance, Ask Maize Farmers Association of Nigeria. FMAD is giving them afla-safe free of charge. That is a way of addressing food safety. For the organic pesticide and organic growth enhancer, by and large, we have gone far, but I cannot put percentage, but we want to get there as soon as possible, as soon as the resources could permit, but give it to the farmers, they are educated. They know the difference between inorganic and organic. So as soon as we can get enough resources just to promote this material, they are available. If today we say we want to go organic, bet you we can have all this material around. But resources to get them to farmer may not be there now. So it's a matter of resources available to the government. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we will need the expert contribution of our colleagues in WHO and FAO at this point. May I invite Dr. Kelias Yaboza, the medical officer of WHO, for a brief intervention on this issue. Dr. Kelias, I yield the floor to you. Over. Dr. Kelias, yes, I can see your hand raised. You have the floor, sir. Okay. Dr. Kelias, are you coming on? While Dr. Kelias is loading, as we say in the digital world, may I invite Dr. Abubakar Sulaiman, Assistant Representative of Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN. Dr. Sulaiman, if you're online, kindly unmute yourself and make your contribution. Over.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. I was just basically listening in to the conversation, which is very interesting, educative, and engaging. And just maybe quickly, before I pause, to acknowledge the comments and remarks of our representatives, both at WHO and FAO, in terms of what the UN as a system has been doing to support national counterparts and other stakeholders in ensuring the safety of the food systems. To emphasize also, FAO works very closely, not only within the UN system with WHO, and but also with NCDC and the Federal Ministries of Environment and the Federal Department of Veterinary Services and Pest Control, to support the concept of One Health, which promote not only public health, but animal health and environment, because of the interlinkages between the three aspects in ensuring safe and sustainable food for all. So we would continue to support this effort and to work more closely in partnerships around safety of food, particularly for vulnerable populations, and also for many other food consumers around peri-urban and lower urban cities. I would not like to say much. A lot has been said, so I don't want to risk repeating what has been discussed. I will pause here and thank you for the opportunity to speak. Over.
Thank you very much. Thanks so much, Dr. Sulaiman. Now, Doctor, yes, I can see you, Dr. Kelias. Thank you very much for being online. Now you have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, colleagues, and good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. I'll also be brief. I think the discussion has enlightened a lot of things. From WHO side, I think we have already, from our country rep, already emphasized there are 4 things that we are supporting the Federal Ministry of Health, mainly on food inspection, to make sure that the food is safe, and also raising awareness on food safety. I think the awareness issue has come in many forms from different speakers. And also we are promoting One Health. One Health meaning putting the animal health and the human health to work together so that we can prevent diseases like foodborne diseases, antimicrobial resistance, and also other related animal human health related issues. I think the country rep for FAO also talked about the codex standards. These are one of the areas that we're supporting NAFDAC and also other related partners. So I will not take much of your time. I think most of the things have already been said. Thank you for giving me the floor. Over to you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Kalias. Thank you for adding your voice. If there are questions, we are still keeping watch over the chat box. If you have questions, please drop it there, and then we'll quickly take that. But meanwhile, I will want to go back to our experts on consumer protection, Mr. Akonam, to give us maybe the like the takeaway, what you want us to take away from this webinar, from the perspective of consumer protection.
Thank you, Dr. Shea, once more, and to all present. Like I said earlier, Nigerians are all guilty of what issue of complaining. You know, if you don't complain, nobody will know how they pay you. Like nobody will know. We are not witches and wizards. We cannot know. So, like we should tell Nigerians when we are on a radio or TV program, if you go to somebody's shop to buy something and now after you returned it and he's complaining to you that it's not a manufacturer, it's this and that, and he may eventually tell you to go to hell. We normally tell people, don't go to hell, come to CPC. That's where when you come to CPC, you will now take care of the person. But most importantly, you have to go first and complain genuinely that this is what you bought and this your money's worth is not met. You complain, and if, at the end of the day, if the person now tell you off, that's where you can now come to. We are here to take care of that situation.
Thank you very much. In fact, I so much love the way you put it, that when you as a consumer, has gone to make a purchase somewhere and something happened along the line, you're not sure of the safety of that product, you return it and say, go to hell. So don't go to hell.
Don't go to
Consumer Protection Commission. So, I know people will say it's easier said than done, but I know this may be very, very correct at the probably semi-formal or formal sector. I had an experience, but not in this country, in the UK. I went to the neighborhood grocery store. Of course, I went to buy our own yam. So I bought it. On getting back to the house, I cut it. I realized that it's rotten inside. My friend with whom I was staying, I called him that this is what happened. He said, take it back. Take it. I said, really? So I started thinking, could I buy a tuber of yam in the open market in Nigeria, and then it's spoiled? I returned it to the person. Of course, I took it back to the store. I just told it. The store manager was begging, practically begging that he was sorry, blah blah blah. Then he changed it. He cut, the new one for me before I left. I know it's a challenge. We will get there.
We'll get there.
someday. But at
in
least
fact, we're almost there in the formal sector, but informal sector it may be quite a big challenge.
It's tough. They will tell you, "Now so I buy them." Not be me, manufacturer. But we will get there. Thank you very much, Mr. Konam.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Oyeleke, in 1 minute, what do you want the participants to take away from this conversation?
Thank you, Sheyi. Thank you, everybody, for the constructive contributions from everybody. The takeaway from this meeting by all of us is stakeholder collaboration. We have acknowledged the fact that food safety is a multi-stakeholder issue, multi-sectoral in the sense that what I do rubs on what is being done in health, in environment, and other sectors in education, in information to make our food safe. So I will advocate for stronger stakeholder collaboration.
Okay.
Number two, please.
If we say one takeaway, we say
no, just
because I have some questions now which are just coming in.
We want us to rally the food safety bill in the National Assembly to get it passed. Okay. All of us should work together on that one. Thank you, Sheyi.
Okay, thank you very much. Interagency collaboration and then working on the bill. Then let me quickly ask the expert from NAFDAC, Mr. Olagunju, Mr. Sharif Olagunju, one key takeaway for our participant.
Well, the key thing I would like to highlight has to do with surveillance, you know, the surveillance system that we have in place. Without support of the public, there is nothing the regulators or governments can do. We need everybody's cooperation and everybody has to fall in line. In developed climes or more developed climes, the food business operators they are held responsible for whatever happens in their facilities, and they actually hold very significant responsibility for a lot of things. And because of that, the regulators concentrate on other issues rather than chasing around food business operators who try to do things the other way. So that is what I'd like to highlight: cooperation from everyone to do what is right. We all know what is right, and we should just do it in order not to overburden the regulators.
Thank you very much. We have a question from Gabriel Rockwell. What is increasing the arsenic and lead levels in rice produced from the Middle Belt? Any specifics?
Well, it's not, this is something that is being observed. So there is no outcome, and it's not, this was just a discussion. So it's something that is still ongoing. And once, you know, we reach a conclusion, that will be, I mean, some collaboration would have to come into that, and then some announcements will be made. We don't know what is responsible, but we do test, and when we find things, we need to kind of check what is causing a change in certain levels of certain components. So that is one of the things NAFDAC does. We continue testing, and that's why I said we do total diet studies. It's a normal thing we do. We keep checking every food to be sure that levels of whatever contaminants or components don't go beyond levels that are safe. So it doesn't mean that if it contains arsenic or whatever it is, it doesn't mean it is not safe. It's when it is going beyond the safe level, that is when we have to raise an alarm. That is why we've not raised an alarm, because there is no issue yet. But it's just an observation of, it's like this thing is coming, is going up, and we need to be more attentive and see what is going on. So that's where we are with that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Gabriel Aneabi, how has CPC, though this question has been asked, but has been answered rather. How has CPC made it easy to consumers to make the complaints? You know, I know the question is coming from the complaint mechanism for consumers to the Consumer Protection Commission. So accessibility is key, and interactive engagements matter, and different channels available. So that is what
I think I have, like you directed, Dr. Shea, you directed that I should put whatever, all the details in the chat box, which I have done. And I wouldn't mind repeating some of it. We have
no, if you have put it, it's fine. Sorry, sir. If you have put it and for all to see, it's fine, because we have to close this meeting in 3 minutes.
Okay.
Because it's supposed to be 2 p.m. to 3:30. So let me just look for, since you have put it there, participants can access. But let me look at another question here. How can young people and youth-led organizations join efforts in terms of advocacy and awareness on the food safety bill? Yeah, I think that is in response to, that is from Aziz Salahu. That's in response to Dr. Oyeleke, when he advocated for interagency cooperation as to also work on that bill. How is there, do you have plans to bring in civil society organization who can support the advocacy and awareness on the proposed food safety bill? Over to you, Dr. Oyeleke, that is the question.
Yes, we are doing just exactly that. Civil society through the National Food Safety Committee. You know, we mentioned that that committee is interagency. All relevant stakeholders are there. And we recognize the import of civil society organizations and private sector. So everybody will rally to make that bill to come to fruition. Thank you.
Yes, may I crave the indulgence of everyone online, especially our distinguished panelists, to give me additional 5 minutes because Mr. John Atonda is back online. That he is representing the National Joint Food Safety Committee. He will speak for 2 minutes and then we round up. Mr. John Atonda, what is being done by your committee, especially your committee supposed to be Joint Food Safety Committee? How are you coordinating and bringing everybody on board to address the issue of food safety in Nigeria? What joint efforts are you on right now? Over to you, Mr. John.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to appreciate you for the privilege to be part of this meeting, this webinar. And I'm sorry for the disruption that took up the power failure in my office here that caused it. Briefly, straight to the point, concerning the efforts of the National Food Safety Management Committee, just as Dr. Oyeleke have said, that committee, which we call National Food Safety Management Committee, the one coordinating, umbrella body coordinating the activities of all the other agencies that have to do with food safety in the country, and is domiciled in the Federal Ministry of Health and the Secretariat at the NAFDAC. So, and then we meet regularly, quarterly, to discuss on the way forward on the activities of each of the all the stakeholders. So, and then from there, it is on that umbrella that we are pursuing the bill at the National Assembly, just as he has said. So, it is the activities of that committee that drives the issue of food safety. Anything that to food safety is being done in an organized manner, and then in a concerted effort.
But your connection is not good.
To do their own bit in their respective support of every member, even the fellow partners, to make sure that the activities of the committee is driven forward. We meet regularly, and then we operate even as regards the issue of codex. We have to do with food safety as well. It is a collaborative effort as well.
Okay.
So I will encourage every one of us to be active in the activities of the committee. That's my take.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks so much, sir, Mr. Atonda John. There is a question from Antonia. Antonia, and that question will be addressed by Mr. Jude Akonam. The question from Antonia says, what are the modalities for reporting food poisoning in states? Quickly, Mr. Akonam.
Sorry, I didn't get your question now.
What are the modalities for reporting food? What are the modalities for reporting food poisoning in the states?
Okay, like I'm trying to type it on the chat box. Part of what I was saying is that we don't have offices in all the states. We have
in the zones, yeah.
I went up before. We have zonal offices and then some state offices in Lagos, Abuja, and Kano. I already mentioned all of them in the chat box.
Okay.
And the modalities are also through
all right,
physical appearance, through text on Facebook or ordinary message, WhatsApp, whatever process. We have I've sent all the details, how we can be reached.
Okay. Mr. Olagunju, over to you. You want to make contribution. Thank you very much, Mr. Akonam. Mr. Olagunju, over to you.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to say the issue of food poisoning is a very serious event. And if it happens in any state, please report to the Ministry of Health or to NAFDAC. We have states, offices in all the states. It's a very serious event and should be taken very seriously. Like you saw what happened in Kano, you have, or to NCDC. Any health facility, can take care of it, and we will network and solve the problem. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen. We are so glad to have this very robust, very interactive discussion on the World Food Safety Day 2021. I want to thank everyone on behalf of the United Nations system in Nigeria, especially the World Health Organization and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN, FAO. I want to express a sincere appreciation to the panelists, Dr. Rasako Yeleke of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mr. Sharif Olagunju of the National Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, Mr. Jude Akonam of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, and also Mr. Atonda John of the National Joint Food Safety Committee. Thank you very much for honoring us with your presence and also allowing us to tap into the fountain of your knowledge on the food safety. We appreciate you. And to all our participants who are online, who have joined to also be part of this celebration, it is a big thank you to you. And as we say at the beginning, the business of food safety belongs to everyone. We must all ensure that the food on our tables are safe. That is the responsibility of all. Thank you very much for being part of this. We trust that we will see you again when next we are having a webinar or a physical event on food safety issue. And by the way, for women in the house, we have a women's dialogue on the food system. Women's dialogue on the food system. Women play a very important role in agriculture. They play important role in production, in distribution. You go to the market, they are there at every stage of the value chain, at every stage of the food chain of the food system. So we're going to have a very robust dialogue by the women on the Nigeria's food system. And that is coming up on the 16th of this month. On the 16th of this month is the UN Food System Summit, Dialogue by the Women. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your participation. God bless you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, see. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.